Hello everybody, welcome back. Today we're doing 2.4, the sine and cos ratio. So it's very similar to that of the tan ratio. However, now we're going to use the hypotenuse. So we did look at the tangent ratio in the previous two lessons. So when you're labeling your triangle, your right angle triangle, they're labeled the exact same way. So the hypotenuse is obviously across from the right angle, and the side, if we're talking about angle A, the side 12 here would be opposite of A, and 5 would be adjacent to angle A. And if we're talking about angle C, 5 would be opposite of angle C, and 12 would be adjacent to angle C. So the sine ratio is sine theta, just like we had tan theta earlier, but the sine theta is equal to opposite divided by the hypotenuse. That's the ratio. And cosine is the adjacent divided by the hypotenuse. Okay, so those are your formulas. You don't have to memorize those; they will be given to you on the test. But there are going to be the two new ratios that we're going to use. So what we're going to do first is we're going to make sure we are familiar with these in our calculator. Of course, like I mentioned in the previous lesson, make sure your calculator's in degrees. So you're just going to literally go to your calculator. You're going to hit sine 27, close your bracket if you need to, hit enter. And when you do that, you end up with equals 0 decimal, and it says 3 decimal places. I'm going to change that to 4. 0, 4, 5, and it says 399. So that would be make it 40. Okay. So again, just make sure we get familiar with pumping it or plugging it into our calculator. And the next one, we're going to do the same thing. Cos 72 degrees, so you're going to cos 72, enter, equals 0 decimal 30901, so the 1 leaves the 0 at a 0. Alright. Next we're going to look for angle H. So remember, if you do recall, we do this on our calculator. We say that angle H is equal to, we're going to insert the inverse sine. So it's sine to the -1, and we put in, your calculator will open up a bracket, 0 decimal 332, close your bracket. Alright. And that's going to give us, it says to the nearest degree, so angle H is equal to, we put that on our calculator, remember second function, because it's above the sine, sine minus 1, so that means the inverse sine, decimal 332, you'll hear it as the arc sine too, and you get 19, and it says 19 decimal 39, 902 dot 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 dot, which is going to equal 19 degrees. Okay. Alright. Next we have cos, so we're going to do the same thing. So we do angle H is equal to, and we're going to insert the image of the inverse cos, and it'll open up a bracket on your calculator, and we calculate it. So we put second function cos, so that'll give you the inverse cos of decimal 651, close your bracket, and you get 49 decimal 38295, it doesn't matter, dot dot dot. which equals, and it says to the nearest degree, so that'll just be 49 degrees. Still a degree sign there. 49 degrees. Okay. And the next one. Is the same thing. This time they have a fraction, but you're going to do the exact same thing. Let's steal this sign here, so it's going to be the inverse. So that 3/4, 3/4. Alright. We have enough room on our page here. We do, so I'm just going to take that up a shot, It'll give us some room. So the angle H is going to equal, and so we go second function sine, and just put 3/4. You don't got to change it to a decimal, and that'll give you 48 decimal 590 which is equal to. So when we do that, that gives us the 5 rounds the 8 up to a 9, so it's 49 degrees. We'll do the same thing with the cos. So I'll steal the cos. So the last one here, we'll get the angle H for the cos of H equal to 3/7. So we'll plug it into our calculator. Remember, second function cos is inverse cos in your calculator. 3 divided by 7, close your bracket, enter, and you get 64. Oh, 64 decimal 623, which is going to equal, again, to the nearest degree, so it's 65 degrees. 65 degrees. Okay. So again, that's just a little review of your calculator. No different than tan, only now we're using sine when we're plugging those in our calculators. So we'll look at the first example. The example says determine the sine and cos of an angle. So in triangle DEF, identify the side opposite of angle D and the side adjacent to angle D. So we'll take our triangle and we'll label that now. So here's our triangle, and we've labeled it. Remember, when you're doing your reference angle, the angle you're speaking of, I just put a little line here just to show, oh, there's the angle you're talking about. Okay, so a little curved line here. Adjacent is attached to it. The opposite of angle D is directly across from it, and the hypotenuse is always directly across from the right angle. And that's it. That's all you need to do with that one. Okay. Sorry about that. Just nice. All right. There's your answer. All right, and let's calculate sine D and cos D to the nearest hundredth. So in this question, we're not actually calculating the value. All we're doing is getting used to putting the ratio and the sine opposite and adjacent. Okay, so we're not getting an actual value for the angle of D. We're just creating the ratio at this time. Okay. So we write down our formula. Sine theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. Remember, the opposite is going to be directly across from angle D, which is 5. So sine of D, we change theta to D because we actually know what angle we're looking for, or the angle that we're referring to, I guess I should say. So we got 5, and hypotenuse is 13. That's it. And then they say get it to a decimal place. I recommend leaving it as a fraction. But if you want it as a decimal place as they've indicated, it's no big deal. It's easily calculated. Alright, so 5 divided by 13 is equal to 0.3846. You don't need any more. And then it says rounded to the nearest 100th place, so that's 2 places after decimal. That means the 4 leaves it as an 8, so it's going to be approximately equal to 0.38. Oh, 0.38 is the approximate value there. Okay. You're going to do the same thing with cos this time, cos of D. So the cos, sorry folks, the cos of D is equal to adjacent, remember it's the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So the adjacent side to D would be 12, and the hypotenuse is 13. So we just replace that with 13. We're going to get a decimal there, so 12 divided by 13. Remember, we're not solving for the angle. It just asks us to find the ratio to the nearest 100th place. 0.92307, and that will leave it at 0.92. This 3 leaves a 2 and a 2, and there's your ratios. Okay, you can do the same thing and check your understanding. All right, for that question. So there's example 1. In the interest of time, we will start the next video with example 2. So thanks for watching, and we'll talk again soon.